Morning, this is Brian. Today is Tuesday, November 28th, 2023, and I'm parked along Morris Ranch Road, about a tenth of a mile down the way, and I'm here starting on the Cedar Springs Trail. Now, I've been on this trail before when I hiked up to the Desert Divide, took this all the way to the PCT, and then took the PCT southbound and hiked 3 peaks over there, over that way. Did Little Desert Peak, Pyramid Peak, skipped Pine Mountain, and then went to Lion Peak. Today, I am planning on going north. My main goal today is to hit Palm View Peak, which is up there somewhere. I don't even know if I could see it from where I parked, but 7,162 feet. We've got a couple of interesting looking peaks over here. Right there is Cone Peak, which is barely at 6,800 feet. There's Cone Peak, and there's an unnamed peak, Peak 6684. Now my hike up to the PCT, well, when I'm on the PCT, it'll take me near where I would turn off to go cross country to Cone Peak. So I'm keeping that as a possibility in the back of my mind. I don't know. I've heard Cone Peak is a lot of bushwhacking and everything. Probably some class 3 rock scrambling. But I'll keep it in the back of my mind in case I desire to venture over that way. So here we are, Cedar Springs Trail at about 5,500 feet elevation. So what we're going to do is we're going to work our way to the PCT and then turn north, which is left, to head up to Palm View Peak, which is a peak I've never visited. This is not the only way you can get to Palm View. You could take the Phobes Saddle Trail, which is a little north of here. So you could get it that way too. I think the road to Phobes Saddle Trail, which was one I was considering, I think it's a dirt road. I don't know how suitable it is for 2-wheel drive vehicles. So I'm deciding to come back to the Cedar Springs Trail. This trail has a lot to offer. I remember it being extremely beautiful with a lot of awesome flora, like Mueller's scrub oak right here, Quercus cornelius muelleri. We'll be seeing quite a bit of this today. We'll be seeing a lot of that. And of course, one shrub I don't get to hike with a whole lot, the beautiful noble Adenosoma sparcifolium, red shanks. This trail has some red shanks on it. Ooh, we got a massive sugar sumac in here. We're near sugar sumac's elevational limit too. We're just below 5,600 feet. And there's a humongous sugar sumac in here, sugar bush. Big rusovata. I must have missed that the first time I came here. I shot video, but that was back when my videos weren't edited. I just did them as a bunch of clips, like part 1 of 20, part 2 of 20. That is a huge sugar sumac. Zoom in a little bit on that. Rusovata right there. That's a big one right there. The highest I've ever seen sugar bush here in Southern California is close to 5,900 feet, right by the summit of Garnet Peak in San Diego County in the Laguna Range. And it was a very stunted little tiny thing. It was not even 5 inches tall, growing on a rock. So that's like 5,000. That's just below 5,880 feet, just below the top of Garnet Peak. So that's the highest I've ever seen it. And hope to eventually catch it above 6K or 6,000 feet one day. I mean, we're only a few hundred feet away from 6,000 here. More Mueller scrub oak. You'll be seeing quite a bit of that today. And then birchleaf mountain mahogany. That's going to be a companion for a nice chunk of this hike as well. And then chaparral yucca. So yes, be expecting a lot of botany remarks today. Pale silk tassel, Agaricus flavescens. Yeah. Pink bract manzanita. That's pretty common in the San Jacinto range. And you go over towards Idlewild, they grow huge over there. So yeah, lots of red shanks today. And then on the Cedar, once you get up to the PCT, on the PCT is the highest elevation I have ever seen common chamise, at roughly 6,700 feet, just north of Lion Peak. That's a nice sized red shanks. On the drive here though, you're driving through, I come up from the El Cajon Valley. I live in Santee, and I drive up. Once I got on the 79, you see some massive red shanks along the 79, much larger than these. Humongous ones, some of them with huge trunks and huge bases on them. And it's incredibly awesome to see. So, yeah, this is the trail with a lot of gates. You're going to be passing through gates, and just make sure you close them. And flannel bush for Montodendron californicum. Since moving to San Diego County, I don't come across that one too often. All right, I'm expecting this is going to be a long video. I'm going to apologize in advance, but if you've seen the clips from my other videos, this is a very botanically interesting hike. So expect a lot of plant talk today. For some of you, I know some of you guys really like that. All right, so we're going to be staying on the trail, so we're going to bank a left here, and we're going to start hiking, staying completely on the trail here, because this is private property on both sides, so this is a little public easement. So stay on the trail. So if you've watched my probably 15-part video from 2021 when I did this hike, you're going to see some great scenery. So I'm glad I edit my videos now to keep them together instead of separating them into parts, now that I have a good video editor. So if you've seen any portions of that set, you'll might remember some of this scenery here. So yeah, going to be staying on this trail the entire time. Now, once we get a little ways past this and we start going up a kind of grassy meadow and wooded canyon, the trail might be a little faint in spots, so pay attention. And along that stretch, you're going to see some pretty interesting botany along there, so get ready. We are here. We're at the next gate. Remember the first time I came here, I remember there was a lot of cattle. There was cattle hanging out over here, so make sure you close the gates and just make sure you tread carefully in case you come across a bull or an angry angry cow. So just be careful, be respectful, and of course, again, stay on the trail and close all the gates behind you. Well, this is going to be kind of annoying to do, so I'm trying to film, so I'm going to close this and start heading my way up. All right, so right now we're in a nice, very open canyon live oak woodland, and it's going to get pretty, it's going to stay pretty woodsy for a while. Once we get just above the 6,000 foot line, past a really decent canyon live oak forest where it gets thicker and denser, once we get past 6,000 feet and a little up from that, this trail is going to start doing a series of switchbacks, a lot of zigzags as we climb up the west-facing slope of the desert divide here, the San Jacinto Mountains. So it's going to get a lot sunnier, a lot more sun exposed again. But before then, we're going to pass through some pretty pastoral landscapes. Again, we're in a really beautiful canyon live oak woodland. Lots of very beautiful canyon live oaks here, multi-trunked beauties. Oh, an incense cedar too. Okay, I'll take it. I've got a lot of beautiful multi-trunk canyon live oaks here in this beautiful wooded area. And then, yeah, look at this. Look at this magnificent specimen here. This is all one plant. This mound right here, this is all a lignotuber or root burl. This is all a massive root burl from which this tree will sprout if coppiced or burnt by fire. Oh. It's impossible not to be impressed by the canyon live oaks here. And again, once we start getting towards the base of the switchbacks, before we get to the switchbacks, we're going to go through a very luscious canyon live oak forest there too, so I'll make sure I get some good footage of that as well. Let's continue the climb. So I got some sagebrush here too. I want to say this might be mountain sagebrush, but again, Great Basin sagebrush is a possibility as well. This is a subspecies of Artemisia tridentata. Sometimes in some places these things can get massive. There's a lot of skunk brush along the side of the trail. Rhus aromatica, mostly leafless for the winter now. So it's kind of late to see fall color on that. Kind of rocky on the trail, so just kind of mind your step. But it sure is a beaut. There's a gate up ahead. I wonder if that one says to keep it closed, because it's open. Huh. I mean, I'm going to leave it the way I saw it. There's some cattle up ahead too. Wow. Yeah, a bunch of cattle. That's why it's important to stay on the trail. Now, what does this gate say? Keep gate closed. What does this say here? Oh, wait a minute. Let me see. Let me see what this says here. Keep gate open. Okay. Just want to make sure. All right. So now we're in this kind of pasture area. Yeah, and we're gonna be out in this beautiful pasture area. There's a lot of cattle over here. I'm not careful. I guess they want to keep the gates open. Oh yeah, I remember this interior live oak from last time I was here too. Not a lot of cattle here. Oh boy. Alright, well, I have to be careful. Alright. Yeah, this was a huge interior live oak. I wonder if this is a Quercus wizlazeni variety wizlazeni. They do occasionally pop up here in the San Jacinto range. Alright. Oh, the honeysuckle's blooming? Oh, it's almost December. It's blooming over here. Alright, well, I'm going to have to kind of focus on getting through here quietly. Kind of feels like it's kind of a tense standoff. I don't want to freak these beautiful animals out. Especially there's a couple of bulls. Oh, there's a big bull over there. Oh no, that's a female. I see the udders. I thought there was a bull over there. I'm just trying to see if I can get around these guys without getting everybody all excited. They are sure beautiful though. Beautiful cattle. I just don't know if I can get around without getting everybody all worked up. Pardon me, fellas. Yeah, especially with the little calves around, I am not trying to get them all worked up. Ay, ay, ay. They sure are beautiful, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 25. There are at least 25 here. Pardon me, guys. Don't want to mess with you guys. Just want to pass through. Excuse me. Pardon me, little guys. Pardon me, beautiful cattle. All right. Don't worry, guys. I'm not going to bother your calves. I have a lot of respect for range cattle. All right. I just get a little nervous because I don't know if these guys are going to trip out or what. Excuse me, fellas. Excuse me. Pardon me. Oh. So on the way back, I'll just have to look out for these guys. Yeah, these look like all females. Excuse me. Pardon me. Just want to go up the trail. Don't want to ruin you guys' morning. All right. Step over some skunk bush. All right. Alright, here's the next botanical find along the Cedar Springs Trail. And you'll find this a lot on the PCT between Pyramid Peak and Lion Peak. This is California barberry. This is Berberis aquifolium reticulata. There is a massive stand of this shrub up on the ridgeline, not that far from the Use Trail to Pine Mountain. Wow, that's a big cow. There's still a lot of them around here. Oh well. So yeah, if you're on the PCT, keep an eye out for that. Alright, on I go. So here we are, up by a picnic table. I remember this picnic table from last time. Still working our way through this lower canyon. And look over here. We've got a lot of winter deciduous trees here. These are California box elders. This is Acer californicum. Acer negundo subspecies californicum. This is the place I've seen them the most. It's along this trail. Also down by where the cattle were hanging out. Speaking of the name elder, here is a blue elder, which is not related. This is Sambucus nigra, subspecies Cerulean, also going dormant for winter. So, box elder is a maple. That is the famed elderberry plant. So, and we do have a nice population of California box elder, and all that brown stuff. Those are the two-winged seeds of the shrub. Those are the two-winged seeds. They're called samaras. So yeah, one thing about this trail that I always loved, when I came here, was experiencing this population of California box elders. Again, it's a type of a maple, a species of maple, but the leaves look more like ash leaves than maple leaves. So sometimes it's called ash leaf maple because of the ash-shaped leaves, because it has anywhere from 3 to 5, maybe even more leaflets. And then, I'm guessing this is California rose, Rosa californica. I think so. I don't know if Rosa gymnocarpa grows here. Wood rose. But here we are. Just also watch out for a lot of cow pies on the ground. There'll be a lot of those if you don't want to get your boots all muddy. But yeah, these box elders, all dormant for winter time. Last time I came here was in early December 2021. We're about to start hitting a much more forested area. So yeah, just be aware. Try to walk through carefully when you come through here, so you don't spook the cattle. Just keep a respectful distance. Still, of course, enjoy the beautiful cattle, beautiful cows. But just tread carefully. Stay on the trail. Don't trespass on the private property area. All right, continue this climb. About ready to go into this really thickly wooded area. This begins the really lush forest part of the hike. So once we get to the ridge, or we start the switchbacks going up to the ridge, it's going to be chaparral, pretty much. Chaparral pretty much the whole way up to the Desert Divide at the PCT. Now I think on Palmview Peak, there might be some, I don't think there's supposed to be some California black oaks up there from what I've read on trip reports. And might be a few conifers, but today we're really not going to be in the tall forest because the desert divide, A, is drier, and B, has had so much fire activity that most of the conifer forest that did grow there is gone. So here we are, beautiful arroyo willow forest, right near the drainage. And then very beautiful canyon live oaks. That's where the trail starts getting a little steeper. But I remember, let's get to the switchback part. It's actually not so tough, except a couple spots, but for the most part it's actually fairly mild. So enjoy this sylvan stretch before we start climbing, because we will start climbing soon. Who's an interior live oak next to this canyon live oak. So here's the forest I was talking about. Here's a box elder, still has a few leaves left on it. So you can see leaves are in leaflets of 3, sometimes 5 and 7. So this is how you know you're looking at box elder. There are a few ones left here. Usually these don't get very large. They're not very large trees. But I've probably pointed out a few times, the one by Mission Trails, by the Mission Dam Trailhead, Mission Trails Regional Park, is actually much bigger than these, but it's one alone. So yeah, here we are in the beautiful canyon live oak forest. So we're just about at 6,000 feet elevation right now, if not at 6,000 feet. So I remember 6,000 foot contour comes along here. So I've gained, I guess, roughly about 500 feet already. We're close to 500 feet from the trailhead, which is about 5,500. So now we're going to start the switchbacks. We're going to be out of the cover of the forest, and we're going to be out in the sun. So, well, the sun's on the back side of the mountain, so this won't be that much of an issue right now. So, more botanical treats are along the way, so stay tuned. All right, so one thing you'll be seeing for quite a while as we climb is lots of hollyleaf cherry. Now remember, on the last video I shot doing this, I kept pointing it out. You're going to see this till at least 6,400 feet. And to this day, this trail is where I've seen the highest elevation hollyleaf cherries I've ever seen. Still got some cherries on them. So again, this is Prunus ilicifolia, subspecies ilicifolia. And it will be a companion till at least 6,400, maybe as high as 6,500 feet. And again, on the back side, we're going to see the highest elevation chamise that I have ever seen, at roughly 6,700 feet. And as we're climbing up, still got some beautiful red shanks, some Adenosum sparcifolium. And yes, there's a lot of hollyleaf cherry along this trail. I think the reason why it grows this high up is because this is a sunnier slope, hence the chaparral growing here as opposed to woodland and forest. And lots of chaparral yucca stalks. There is a yucca relative. I saw one at the beginning of the Cedar Springs Trail. I'm going to wait till I find it as I climb up. It's a relative, not extremely close, but it's related. I'll point it out as soon as I see it. And of course, brown spine prickly pear. It's going to be pretty common on this hike as well. That's also called Mojave prickly pear, Puntia fiacantha. So, as I climb, kind of carried a little bit of heavy pack. I brought a flannel shirt and gloves and a beanie. Lots of water today. This is going to be a pretty decent hike. I don't know if this will be longer than my Cedar Springs Trail, the Lion Peak hike, which was about 10.5 miles, I think. I think this one will be a little shorter, but we'll see. All right, sure was a long drive getting here. All right, so there's the canyon below, well down where I parked. There's Palomar Mountain showing up. Not that one, but that one in the background. That's Palomar Mountain over there. And that right there in the foreground, that's the south side of Thomas Mountain. I was almost going to do that one today. I'm going to try to do Thomas Mountain and Little Thomas Mountain from the Ramona Trail. But that would have been about a 16-mile hike. Haven't got up to that level. Haven't done a hike that long since 2019. So, not quite at that right now. But maybe one day. So here we are. Red Shank City. All right. Still lots of red shanks here as we've climbed probably about 6,100 feet already by now, or up to 6,100 feet. It's not the elevation gain. It's not even going to be a third of that. I expect it'll be maybe up to about 1,800, maybe 2,000 feet, depending on how many other peaks I add on, or attempt to add on. All right. It looks like this video is going to start getting very long, so I better just focus on climbing and keep you updated. All right, well, here's that yucca relative. This is Perry Nolina, also known as Perry beargrass. This is Nolina Perry. Very similar looking to the chaparral yucca. Although it's usually not quite as stiff. But still, if you're wearing shorts when you're hiking up here, just make sure you keep a little berth. The edges of the leaves are kind of have like a sawtooth kind of feel to them. And they tend to be more pliable than chaparral yucca, but as chaparral yucca clumps get bigger, they also get more pliable too. When they're smaller, they're a lot stiffer. But these ones have extremely sharp edges, the chaparral yuccas. And that's where most hikers form a disdain for it. Of course, me being a plant lover, my feeling towards it is far from disdainful. I love chaparral yucca because I love our native plants. They make the hiking all that much prettier, especially when they set up their big inflorescent stalks in spring and early summer. But yeah, Perry beargrass or Perry Nolina will be encountered at times on this trail. And you can also tell them from the chaparral yuccas. Here's a perfect example right here. Okay, that's a chaparral yucca with much larger seed capsules, usually a lot more upright and much larger. The Perry Nolina has papery little papery seed capsules with little brown, roughly spherical shaped seeds. Chaparral yuccas have flat black seeds. Another thing is Perry Nolina forms an above ground trunk or above ground caudex or stem. As you can kind of see here, you can see the rosette is elevated by a caudex or a stem. Chaparral yucca does not. Chaparral yucca busts its rosette right out from the ground. So the two are pretty regularly encountered, especially as you get closer towards the edge of the desert. Here's another. Here's an Alina. You see here. You can see its caudex or its trunk, its stem, above ground stems. Right next to it is a chaparral yucca, no stem. However, what we're to caution, when Nolinos are younger, a lot of times they won't have formed their caudex yet. So when they're very young, they may very well be very, very much chaparral yucca like. So it's a thing to look out for. And here we go, cupleaf ceanothus. I point this out a lot at Mount Laguna because it's everywhere in Mount Laguna. And again, as I told you, as we've gone a little ways above 6,000 feet, still going to be running into hollyleaf cherry for a while. There's going to be a lot of it for a little while more too. A lot of hollyleaf cherry along this stretch. It'll start disappearing before we reach the 6,700 foot crest with the PCT. So, all right, well, I'm going to keep on trucking and keep you posted on how this day's going. Still sending the switchbacks. Now we got some hollyleaf redberry around this alicifolia. And yep, still seeing hollyleaf cherry as I'm still climbing. And still quite a bit of it here. Still got fruit on them too, which is really cool. Last time I was here, I don't remember them having fruit on them still. But yeah, still got hollyleaf cherry as I'm definitely way above 6,000 feet now. Again, I think the warmer south-facing slopes here allow it to do pretty well at this high elevation. I'm still waiting to find my first sugar bush above 6,000 feet, or sugar sumac. Still waiting to see that. So I remember somebody commented on one of my videos saying, because sugar sumac not only grows from about Santa Barbara County down to Baja, there's a population in Arizona as well. And I remember somebody commenting that that person saw sugar bush at 6,500 feet in Arizona. That's really cool. I love seeing things above the elevation where you normally see them. I don't know, for some reason I'm kind of into that vibe. So we're still looking at some beautiful hollyleaf cherries up here, and of course interior live oak has been a pretty frequent companion as well, which is not surprising. I find that above 6,000 feet all the time. But yeah, these hollyleaf cherries fruited this year, which is great. And we're just climbing gently. So this trail is a good workout, and it's also just so scenic because the views towards the west and the southwest are incredible. And just look at all of this, all hollyleaf cherry, all of this right here. I point this plant out because I just enjoy seeing it so much. And again, along the theme of alicifolia and hollyleaf, some more hollyleaf redberry. And I regularly see this above 6,000 feet. And I'm seeing it near sea level as well. Same with hollyleaf cherry. Seeing both there. And we still got red shakes too. It's not as numerous as it was, but it's still here. Good old Adenosoma sparsifolium. I love red shanks. I love seeing red shanks when I hike. I just think they're so incredibly beautiful. Wow, this is incredible. I can still see all the cattle down there from earlier. So on my way back, I want to make sure I'm through there before dark so I can easily see and give them a wide berth, a respectful wide berth on the way back. But okay, I'm still zigzagging, and I'm going to be zigzagging for a while. And yep, more flannel bush. This one, flannel bush, you can find this one well above 7,000 feet. I've yet to find it in San Diego County. I think it's supposed to grow in a couple spots in San Diego County. I would expect to see it by Mount Laguna, but I've yet to see it there, so maybe one day. Well, I'm going to shut the video down because I'm about to go towards the sun. Keep you posted. As I've come up quite a ways, notice the flannel bush. There's a lot of flannel bush along this stretch here, and it's starting to almost knit its way across the trail. It must have had a pretty hardcore growth here. So a lot of those flannel bushes really put out a lot of growth. They're not really super large here in this area. So I've seen some huge flannel bushes, especially in the San Gabriel Mountains. Some of the flannel bushes there get humongous, especially along Angeles Crest Highway over near Wrightwood on the San Bernardino County side, and some very large ones on the LA County side, about 6,400 feet elevation. Some huge ones there. But yeah, the trail's starting to become a little more overgrown. It's not going to be a bushwhack, but you will have a few branches rub up against you. Nothing bad. But I see a pinyon pine up there. I wonder what kind that is. So I think both single leaf pinyon and Perry/Juarez pinyon grows here. So I think I've seen both. The Perry/Juarez pinyon and the single leaf in parts of these mountains, especially between here and the Santa Rosas. I've seen both. But all right, still working my way. Beautiful trail. Beautiful trail. Absolutely stunning up here. All right, now I can see Cone Peak from here. That's Cone Peak, that real jagged one. That's Cone Peak, which is just above 6,800 feet, 6,800 feet. And then, that's an unnamed peak right there. On the topo maps, that's peak 6684, I believe. And then that's over towards Pyramid Peak over there. That's Pyramid Peak. That's the peak I hiked, or one of the 3 peaks I hiked in 2021 when I went up this way. That's going to be going southbound on the PCT. I am considering making a brief stop off by Little Desert Peak, maybe to just add on another peak. I believe that one's a Sierra Club peak. I think I might add that one on because it's a relatively short detour south on the PCT. And that was the first of 3 peaks I visited, including Pyramid and Lion Peak that day. So we'll see. We'll see. Think about adding on Little Desert Peak just for some extra spice. All right, well, how long I keep going? So I think I'm getting close to the saddle. I must be at least at 6,600 feet right now, or close to it. I'm still seeing hollyleaf cherry. Definitely not nearly as much, but still seeing it this high up. I must be close to 6,600 feet by now. That's incredible. Definitely well above 6,500 feet. So I'm still seeing an occasional hollow-leaf cherry. It's even higher than I remember last time. I mean, it must be close to 6,600 feet. Not quite level with 6684, but not that far. So, yeah. It's a very interesting chaparral here in the San Jacintos. That's the first time I've been to the San Jacinto since the Pyramid Peak, Little Desert Peak, and Lion Peak hike. That's another very highly recommended hike. I might go and edit that, re-edit that video set, maybe one day, edit it into a video, a single video, so it's not as painful to thumb through all the clips just to see what part goes where. I'm starting to get close to the saddle, I think. Really cool. Yeah, I'm way above that canyon. That's called Camp Sherman down there. And there's peak 6684. So I've already climbed over 1,000 feet. And continuing. Again, this is such an awesomely engineered trail. This is a really great way to hike up to the PCT. I've never taken the Phobes Saddle Trail. I've never taken the Spittler Peak Trail. I don't know how those are. Where's a pinion? A little pinion right here. I've never taken any of those two yet. Probably will, if it doesn't require four-wheel drive. Eventually would like to. Morris Ranch Road is paved all the way up to where you can park, off the pavement, of course. So yeah, never taken those two trails, but this one is so wonderfully engineered. I very much appreciate the zigzags of this. Now, probably on the way back down, when I'm tired after all the humps and bumps along the PCT I'm going to be climbing up and over, I'll probably be feeling, oh, this is tedious. But when you're hiking uphill and trying not to overly exert your energy before getting to your turnaround destinations, this is very well appreciated. And it'll also be easier on your knees when you're hiking downhill. So let's take some time to appreciate the slightly overgrown with thick leaf yerba santa, this little part at least, portion of the Cedar Springs Trail. All right, well, see you soon. Okay, I have just reached the PCT. It's the PCT right over here. So, this is usually a good rest spot. Phobes Junction, that's Phobes Saddle. So that's 3 miles this way. I'm not going that all the way. If I were to go up to Phobes Saddle, I'd just take the Phobes Saddle Trail. So there's a trail here that leads you. This will take you to Cedar Spring, and that's going to be down about a mile from here. So what I want to do is head up this way a short distance to get to Little Desert Peak, which is maybe about 100, 150 feet higher than where we are. That peak is at 6,868 feet. Ironically, the same elevation as Lion Peak. So I'm gonna go this way for a short bit, head southbound, head to Little Desert Peak, and then I'm gonna return, probably take a break under this beautiful canyon live oak, and start heading this way on the PCT, northbound, and head up towards Palm View Peak. And before Palm View Peak, there's actually a small hill before Palm View Peak. It's not even really on the topo maps. I don't think it's even listed on the topo maps. There's an elevation contour of 7,080 feet. So it's between 7,080 and 7,120 feet. And then beyond that, Palm View Peak should start appearing pretty soon. So I'm going to go ahead and head this way, hit Little Desert Peak. So I am going to do a short detour on this side, I guess. I'm going to go up to Little Desert Peak. It shouldn't be a super long hike. I think it's up there, if I remember correctly. Short hike along the PCT. And then I'll come back and go towards probably peaks Hill 7080, if I could find a relatively brush-free way to get up there. We'll see about that. And then my way to Palm View. Okay, so I'm going to head south for a short stint, and then I'm going to return back to this junction, probably take a small break, and then head up towards Palm View Peak, the opposite direction. All right, well, I'll see you when I'm getting towards Little Desert Peak. It shouldn't be a very long hike from here. I can already see Pyramid Peak over there, and that's looking over towards Pine Mountain. Pine Mountain is one I missed along the way to Lion Peak last time, because at first I didn't see the use trail. All right, well, see you along the way. All right, hiking along this. Start looking out for a nice little mound. I think it's just up ahead. Trying to remember. This might be it here. This might be Little Desert Peak right here. So, when you're heading up the PCT for a short distance, keep an eye out for a nice little mound here. A patch of California black oaks here on the left. And eventually, when you crest the hill, keep a lookout on your right for a breach in the shrubs. When you see that breach in the shrubs, you're gonna walk uphill a little bit, and you're gonna see a nice little small rocky outcropping, little rocky area. Head up towards that, and that'll get you to the summit of Little Desert Peak. If I remember correctly, there should be a summit register up there. At least I remember there being one there when I hiked in 2021. So let's see. I think I'm coming up on it, I think. It's not a particularly prominent peak, but it is a named peak here in San Jacinto. And if you're heading on your way to the south, if you're heading towards Lion Peak, Pine Mountain, Pyramid Peak, whatever, you may as well hit it anyways. It's a very short detour off the trail. The trail almost goes all the way up to the top of it. So I think I'm coming up on it, I believe. That's looking over towards Pine Mountain right there. Alright. Go ahead and leave the trail here. Shouldn't be getting up to it pretty soon, actually. All right, this should be it here. You just work your way around the rocks. It's nothing too intense. Just walk up this ramp. Here it is, Little Desert Peak, 6,868 feet above sea level. And over there, I think where the pine trees are over there, I think is where Palm View Peak is. So, I'm just going to do a little quick 360. When I get to, well, this might be the best view because I think Palm View Peak is supposed to be hemmed in by a lot of trees. So I'm going to get a picture or two and then I'll do a quick little pan. Alright, let's do a little quick pan up here. This might actually be the peak with some of the best views of the day. So I'm going to start off looking roughly north. And that's looking up towards, I believe, Marion Mountain is one of those. Mount San Jacinto Peak is over there. I can see over towards Red Taquish and Taquish Peaks. That's technically how you're supposed to pronounce them. It looks like a lot of people pronounce it Taquits or Taquits or Taquits, but from what I have read, it's supposed to be pronounced Taquish. And that's looking, Palm View Peak should be one of those bumps, I think, further off. A little bit further off. I think it might be where the forest is over there. There's the PCT heading up that way. One of these might be bump 70, 80. We're going to start looking a little bit more towards the northwest and then more towards the west. And here we have, this is actually more like west-northwest. There's Cone Peak right there, 6,800 feet. And there is Peak 6684. Then beyond it, that ridge over there, is the Santa Ana mountain range way off in the distance. And you can kind of see Santiago Majestica peaks, Santiago on the left, Majestica on the right. Now we're going to swing it a little bit more towards the west. And there's Little Thomas Mountain at 6,580 feet, I believe. And of course there's Thomas Mountain itself at 6,825. Then I can see the Long Ridge Palomar Mountain as we look more towards the southwest. And I know when I was hiking up the Cedar Springs Trail, I could see Cuyamaca earlier. I can see Cuyamaca, but I can't really see it right now. I believe that's Hot Springs Mountain over there, I believe. A little closer up at hand, towards the south. There's Pyramid Peak, I think it's 7,035 feet. That over there is Lion Peak at 6,868. That's a cool peak. That's a really cool peak. There's a little scrambling action as you're heading up there. And you're kind of going through this sparsely coulter pine wooded area. Yeah, that should be it there. And there's Peak 6880. It's a sub-peak of Pine Mountain, which is about 7,054 feet. Then we're swinging around to the southeast, and there's Toro Peak at 8,716. Then that one there in this saddle, behind the saddle is Rabbit Peak at 6,640. We're swinging more towards the southeast. Then there's Santa Rosa Mountain at 8,070. And then you can kind of see the Salton Sea a little bit behind Santa Rosa Mountain. And there's the Pinyon Pines area. They call it Pinyon Flat or Pinyon Pines area or something like that. Now we're looking off towards Palm Desert. The Palm Desert area is down there. Now we're swinging more towards the northeast. And that's kind of getting towards Palm Springs. Palm Springs is near that area there. I think it's on the other side of the fold of the San Jacinto, and this swings it back. So, yeah, we got some pretty good views up here. Like I said, you got some higher terrain here, but we'll see what the views are like on the PCT. Like I said, the views on Palm View Peak, from what I've read, are pretty closed in by some, I believe, a black oak forest or a black oak woodland up there. So we'll see how it goes. Anyways, a good view is not a requirement for me to want to climb a peak. Just a peak being there is good enough, and having a relatively decent way to get up there. So when I get towards the Palm View Peak area, I'm gonna have to really pay attention to a use trail or something on my right. So I'm gonna head back to the PCT and I'm going to start heading north. I'm gonna go back to that junction and probably get a snack and then start working my way around. All right, I'm just about back at the Cedar Spring PCT junction. All right. So again, here's a little rest stop under this canyon live oak. Here's a Cedar Springs Trail heading back down to Morris Ranch Road. Then Cedar Springs, I believe this should go this way for about a mile along this northern extension or eastern extension of the Cedar Springs Trail. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to start heading this way up the PCT now. So I'm going to be heading over this hump here and probably a couple other humps before I get there. There's a really cool place to take a break. I think when I was here, I actually sat over there, but I'm probably just gonna grab a short drink of water before proceeding. I have not even really seriously broken a sweat yet because the air is really nice and cool, but now that the sun's been out for a while, I'm pretty sure that'll change soon. But yeah, if you're ever here, take a break at this beautiful shrubby canyon live oak. So now I'm going to get a few sips of water, and then I'm going to start working my way up there. So I'll see you up the way. All right, so haven't left the junction too far behind, but there's a lot of pinkback manzanita up here. A lot of it. Wow, even sunflowers up here too. Pretty cool. Even saw some Paris blue curls. Obviously not in bloom this time of year. Shouldn't say obviously, but because a lot of stuff bloomed so late in the year after the August tropical rainstorm we had. Here's a Paris blue curls right here. Trigostemma parishii. Catch a, just very gently rub a leaf. Snip your fingers for that really perky, spicy, minty aroma. It's a mint family plant on the SAI. But yeah, we're in this stand of mostly canyon live oak and pinkback manzanita. Very awesome. A lot of it here. Lots of it here. All right. I'll keep you updated. See how long it is before I hit the Palm View Peak area. We'll see. All right, so I'm working on climbing my first hill after the saddle junction, and it must be about 6,900 feet by now. And I didn't realize this grew this high either. This is Dendromicon rigida. This is bush poppy. You can tell this area was trimmed by fire years ago. And bush poppy is a fire follower that in some places takes a huge foothold in post-burn sites. There's a lot of it here. This time of year it's not going to be blooming. But there we go. We are probably, I'm definitely above Little Desert Peak, which is right there. That's Little Desert Peak right there. I'm noticeably above it now, so I must be at least 6,900 feet of elevation right now. So, just wondering what kind of botanical surprises I'm going to come across on this hike. Besides bush poppy, I knew it comes above 6,000 feet sometimes, but I realized it grew this far above it. I mean, we're encroaching on 7,000 feet. Won't be that much longer. I'm just wondering what other interesting botanical surprises I'll find. What do we have over here? Oh, okay, well, here's the next botanical surprise. Now, I pointed out Garrya flavescens, the pale silk tassel, earlier on. Well, this is Fremont silk tassel. This is Garrya fremontii. I've only seen this one a few times. I've seen it, I think it was in Mount Laguna. I've seen it along the Devil Slide Trail up from Humber Park. I've seen it over there. Yeah, this is Fremont silk tassel. It's more of a lime green color as opposed to the bluish grayish green of the pale silk tassel and another related canyon silk tassel, Garrya veitchii. They tend to have grayer foliage, but Fremont silk tassel has a richer green color, kind of like a bright, almost like a lime green. I've only come across that a few times in my hikes. Maybe the next time I do Devil Slide Trail, I'll find some larger specimens there and probably get into a spotlight video up there. Alright, so we're hitting our first downhill stretch. So now we're significantly above Cone Peak now, which barely scrapes the 6,800 foot contour. I'm wondering if that's going to be Palm View there. I think that might be Palm View Peak over there. Doesn't look really super far away. Oh, this isn't much of a downhill, which I'm not going to complain because it'll just mean I have to go uphill on the way back. But I'm feeling good. I still got quite a bit of gas in the tank after that nice climb up the Cedar Springs Trail, which didn't drain me empty because for the most part that trail is so well groomed and so well engineered to make it feel very cruisy. You're definitely going uphill. You're climbing, but you're not going up extremely steeply. But yeah, here's more of that Fremont silk tassel right there. That's cool. So I've seen in the wild, I've seen 3 species of silk tassel. And in cultivation, meaning the Fullerton Arboretum in North Orange County, I've seen wavy leaf silk tassel, which is Garrya, I can't remember it right now, Garrya elliptica. So, intuition is telling me that hill there is going to be 0.7080. I believe that's going to be 0.7080. Because if you're hiking from Cedar Springs Junction, 0.7080 is going to be before you hit Palm View Peak. So I think that might be what that is. I'm going to try to see if I can worm my way up there. See if I can work out a cross-country hike to get there. I'm going to try. We'll see how that works. But yeah, there's still some conifer forest over there, so I might even get a little conifer action today. I mean, you drive through Garner Valley, you got some nice sized Jeffrey pines along Highway 74. So, but some of them are actually pretty decent sized too. But most of the Desert Divide is chaparral. Most of it's devoid of conifer forest. There's one Jeffrey pine here, little wind flagged little guy, and another one over on that little hillside over there. So you will, well, I can even see white fir over there. I can see white fir up ahead. So yeah, now the really rich hardcore conifer forest here in the San Jacintos, is once you get towards Idlewild, just south of Idlewild, when you start getting up towards the higher part of the range, or the larger part of the range. This is more of like a narrow divide. This is called the Desert Divide of the San Jacinto Range. And this is only my second time here, and it is an incredible place. But yeah, we got some white fur action coming up ahead, so it might be, yeah, I see a lot of white fur actually. So we'll see. I'm kind of looking forward to that. A lot of white furs in that cave. Like I said, I think that bright green hill up ahead, I think that's point 7080. I'm hoping I get close enough to it to strike out that way. So we'll see how that works. Oh, I think there's a sugar pine over here. Yeah, I think that's a sugar pine. Yeah, it looks like a Pennsylvania Bertiana. Okay. Now, they're relatively rare in this portion of the San Jacintos. But, again, once you get towards the Idlewild area, sugar pine is very abundant. Very, 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 very abundant. It's actually one of the more dominant trees. Usually it's kind of scattered in with the Jeffrey pines, white firs, incense cedars, and ponderosa pines, but yeah, parts of the San Jacintos are completely chock full of sugar pine. Some pretty large ones too, occasionally too. So if you're hiking up more towards Humber Park and stuff like that, be on the lookout for some beautiful sugar pines there. All right, so yeah, it looks like I might actually enter a little conifer forest today. That's something to look forward to. All right, well, this clip's gone on long enough. I'm just going to keep on moseying down the good old PCT. Yeah, that seems to be a lot of Fremont silk tassel up here. There's a lot of it now. All right, well, I'll see you down the way. All right, so a little further along, came across this nice resprout of Fremont silk tassel, and it's got its fruit on it. The fruit's kind of like a berry-like fruit that eventually dries up with some small seed action inside of it. Kind of purplish black berry-like drupes. I think they're berry-like. I think they're botanically berries or drupes. I think this is chock full of them. So this is the silk tassel. In the springtime, when this is flowering, spring and early summer, these are dangling catkins of flowers called tassels that look like tassels of silk. So that's why these plants are called silk tassels. The larger silk tassels, like the more mature specimens of these, and the larger ones like Garrya flavescens, and of course the wavy leaf silk tassel of the coast ranges in central northern California, they have much longer dangling tassels, and then they turn into those fruits. Oh, and then of course, Amelanchier utahensis, Utah serviceberry, up here, and more Fremont silk tassel. Now we got some California black oak, so we got a nice little wooded spot here. A lot of these are resprouts from recent fires. There's a lot of fire damage in here from recent fires, but a lot of resprouting has happened, so pretty cool. Now I gotta check out what type of ceanothus this is. It looks like, this looks like Palmer ceanothus. Ceanothus palmeri, I believe. I have to be careful because southern deer brush is a very similar species of ceanothus that's closely related to Palmer ceanothus, and that's Ceanothus integramus redimacrothyrsus. But I believe these are Palmer ceanothus. The leaves are a little thicker and more leathery, and the leaves have pinnate venation. In other words, a prominent vein up the middle with side veins shooting off to the side. So yeah, looks like these black oaks largely survived. It's a little more arid here than other parts of the San Jacintos. That's why we're not seeing lots of large trees. and a lot of forested spots. But yeah, these are California black oaks. Predominantly going to stay shrubby, probably because of the very high fire regime here and the drier conditions. But yeah, so there's a chance I might be entering some conifer forests higher up too, so I'm going to keep an eye out for that as I climb up this. And I think this is the Sierra coffee berry. This looks like Frangola californica subspecies cuspidata. I'm going to double check cow flora to see if it's vouchered here, but I think this is the Sierra coffee berry. I've seen the hoary coffee berry, which is subspecies tomentella, lower down. I've seen that, but I'm going to check the cow flora voucher to see if it's vouchered in this area. We're not that far from 7,000 feet. Still seeing bush poppy. Yeah, those have really cool bright yellow purple, bright yellow 5-petal flowers. Bright yellow, 4. I'm just not with it today. My mind's blank. 4-petaled, beautiful yellow poppy-like flowers. It's in the poppy family, by the way. So let me say this again. The right way. Brilliant lemon yellow, 4-petaled poppy flowers. There it is, the Dendromicon rigida. These ones fruited. These little things are the old spent seed capsules. All right, well, I'm going to continue keeping you updated as I climb up ever so gently up the PCT. So now there's this cute little black oak woodland here. These really shrubby, beautiful little black oaks. Must have snowed here with the last storm. I thought the snow level was supposed to be above 8,000 feet. We're maybe about 6,900, close to 7,000 feet. So we're not really super high up. So yeah, there's actually a little trace of snow on the ground. I totally did not expect that. And then here's our first close-up of a white fir. First white firs up close of the day. Abies concolor. Look at that. All right. So yeah, unless this is frost. It must have, I guess what happened is maybe the front pushed through and there was a little cold air behind it, but I didn't think there'd be snow this low down from that one. It's just a little dusting. Now in a couple days there might be a little dusting of snow up here again. Maybe down to below 6,000 feet, but we'll see. So I'm thinking that's going to be my next goal there. I think that is going to be .7080. So I'm going to have to probably look for a little bit of a bushwhack or chaparral wade to wind up there. But I think that's going to be .7080. So I'm going to keep my eyes out for that. Yeah, see, a lot of these black oaks only partially burnt during the fire. There's a lot of smaller shrubby black oaks up here, and that's really cool. I love when they get huge. Love when they get huge and monstrous, but also love when they make these shrubby thickets too. Yeah, this one looks like a hoary coffee berry here, I believe. Yeah, this looks like a tomentella. So I think we might have Sierra coffee berry here too, but again, before I do put that in the text on the screen, I'm going to make sure first. All right, well, I'm going to have some more coniferous woodland along the way, so get ready for some more conifer action coming soon. Probably after I try to go to that peak there. All right, so I'm coming across more botanical beauty. Yeah, this black oak still has a few remaining autumn leaves left on it. So I've been checking out these ceanothus bushes. Still wondering whether they're Palmer ceanothus or deerbrush. Like I said, they're both very similar. I've yet to do a spotlight video on deerbrush. I still think these are palmers, but some of them almost had the venation, the leaf veins, like a deer brush. Oh, and to add to that, Prunus marginata, bitter cherries making an appearance now too. So there's bitter cherry up here as well. So we are about 7,000 feet right now. This is the highest elevation I've hiked this year. Highest elevation I've done any true hiking. Back in August, I started a hike around 7,600 feet to get up to some peak in the San Bernardinos, but I ran into private property within not even 5 minutes of hiking, so I don't count that. And I got some smaller white firs up here. So I believe this is going to be my objective right here. I think this is Hill 7080. I'm wondering if I should go for it now or try to go for it after Palm View. Well, let me get up to Palm View, try to get up to Palm View. I really want to hit that one too, because it's there. That's all I need is for it to be there. It could have no view, or a lot of people would say, oh, it's not worth it. There's no view up there. Getting up to any peak I can get up to is worth it to me, regardless if it had views all the way up to Arizona, views up to Mount Whitney or whatever. Doesn't matter. If it is a peak and I can find a reasonable way to get there, and I'm all for it. So there's a witness post. Saw this a little further back. But yeah, there's a little yellow witness post right there. All right, well, hitting through some rabbit brush, some Erica marianaceosa, and some more white fir. So yeah, I think on my way back is when I'm gonna take a look at that. Would like to make a hat trick today, which is like in hockey or soccer when you score 3 goals in a game. So I want to hike 3 peaks in a day. So we'll see. We'll see. All right, I think this is gonna be Palm View Peak, I believe. So I'm gonna work my way on the PCT and try to wiggle my way up there. We'll see how that goes. But I believe that's Palm View Peak. And there's actually a nice little pocket of forest still over there too, with some more adult trees. I've been passing through this really cute little nook of white fir here. White fir is a dominant tree over here, the dominant conifer. Yeah, there's a lot of white fir over here, a lot of smaller specimens. So if that's Palm View Peak, that has to be Peak 7080. Again, that's not even listed on the topo maps, much less on Peak Bagger. It's not even on the topo maps, it's just an elevation contour of 7,080 feet. This over here, if this is Palm View Peak, which I'm pretty sure it is 7,162. And I should be coming up on it pretty soon, actually. This has been an absolutely delightful hike. I really can't stress that enough. This has been incredible. Yeah, this might be a monoculture of white fir. I don't even see any pines in here. I don't see any pines, any incense cedars. I don't even see any. I just see white fir. This is like just a pure stand, almost a pure stand of white fir, with some black oak mixing in. I see some black oak, maybe probably some canyon live oak mixing in there. But yeah, this appears to be pretty much a pure stand of white fir, or almost pure stand. I usually don't come across pure stands of white firs. I've seen some areas in the San Gabriel Mountains where white fir is the dominant the dominant conifer for short parcels of, for short stretches of hiking, like near Mountain High. If you're hiking up, if you're going up, is it 306 or whatever that mountain road is? It's partially paved and it's all dirt later on. That's when you're heading up towards Mountain High ski area on Blue Ridge. There are a couple parcels where white fir is the dominant tree, but here it appears to be the only conifer here, except for I think I see some pines or maybe incense cedars, maybe off on the side a little bit. Yeah, I think I might see something else in there, but yeah, this is about all white fir. How beautiful is this? This is stunning. So yeah, eventually I'm gonna have to look to branch off the trail and probably head cross country up to that knoll. So I'm gonna check to see if that is Palm View Peak. If that is, I've been wanting to visit this peak for a long time, just never made the plans for it. This is absolutely stupendously beautiful here. I love how a lot of these white firs survive the fires. All right, so I'm gonna head towards the base of the knoll and take a look on the side to see if there's a ducked route or something and see what's going on. If not, I'll just have to make my own route up there. But I'll see you near my starting point. Okay, so I'm getting closer to that knoll, which I suspect is going to be the peak. So what I'm doing, I'm still following the PCT up towards this little notch between this small mound and the summit over here. I think once I get to that notch, I think that's where I'm going to depart the trail. Unless I find a duck route or something beforehand, or what looks like a use trail. If not, I think I'm just going to head towards the notch. A little saddle here. So maybe my most likely trail departure. Boy, I think I'm almost at the notch. This is just absolutely ridiculously beautiful. Well, I'll see what I suspect is my departure. All right, so I haven't seen any sign of a trail, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be the peak over there. So I think I'm going to go ahead and start looking for a cross-country route to get up there. So I'm going to go ahead and go off trail now. So I'm a little past, kind of near this notch area. Now, Palm View Peak should stand out when I'm on it, because it's supposed to have at least 1,000 feet of prominence, so I think it's at least a P1K. As far as I know. So now, I guess I'm just going to head through the brush. I was hoping to avoid a bushwhack if possible, but I don't know how that's going to work out. So I'm just going to go ahead again, start heading cross country through this area, and see if I can find my way to the peak without having a big bushwhack ahead of me. So, oh wow, Ceanothus cordylatus, Mount Whitethorn, pretty cool. All right, it doesn't look too bad, but I looked up the ridge a little bit. It looked like there might have been some chaparral, so I'll just keep my eyes out. So yeah, I didn't see any rock ducks or anything that looked like a use trail, so This might be where you just pick your own little route to get up there. Pretty sure this is going to be it. If I see a summit register on it, then I'll know for sure. But let's see. All right, I'm gonna work my way along this for a little bit, and I'll keep you posted on my progress. Elevation wise, there's not much gain from here. Probably already about 7,100 feet. So I'm just gonna kind of weave my way around the plants, and we'll see. As I'm heading my way, so far the going is very easy here, but I do see a chaparral up ahead. So it looks like the final push, or the final part of the final push, is going to be a bushwhack. Oh boy, it's going to be a ceanothus one too, it looks like. So here we go. Let's get ready. Oh boy, it's about to get real now. Gonna have to looks like I'm gonna have to bushwhack. Kind of hoping not to, but well, if I want to get to this peak that badly, well, let's see. Let's see how this goes. It's not really super high brush, but I might have to enter through it a little bit to get to the actual peak. All right, well, let's see. Keep you updated. Should be there pretty soon. All right, so I've only gone a short distance since leaving where the grassy area is. This has been a total bushwhack. This is at least as bad as I thought it was going to be. So I've been trying to sometimes use these logs as ramps to get over the worst of it. And then at times, some of the logs just led into really tall, not extremely tall, but tall enough to where it's going to slow your progress down significantly. So maybe going to the notch wasn't the best idea. Maybe I should have just went down the little glade and climbed up the backside. And climbed up, well, not the backside, the front side. But I'm trying to keep my balance here. Literally walking on a small tree log that's only about 4 or 5 inches wide. So just trying to keep my balance. It's not super far above the ground. It just makes me fall probably shoulder deep into this ceanothus. But I see an opening up ahead. So I'm trying to work my way to it. So some of these logs do help elevate you above the bottom of the shrubs. Wow, that was crazy. That was a bushwhack. This brush isn't extremely tall, but it's densely packed and it's ceanothus. You know, these plants are sturdy as heck. I'm still not there yet. I think if I can, I'm gonna go back down a different way, closer to the south or southeast side of the peak. This is all right. It opens up a little bit here. Wow, this bushwhack was. I was actually not expecting a big bushwhack to get up here. Again, other people might come from different directions. Now it's going to get really thick again. So I'm going to have to work my way over these logs. So close. Yeah, I feel like I'm so far. All right. I just want to give you a taste of what I'm going through. Hopefully I can get through this soon, because it looks like it's going to go on for a while. All right. hopefully I can get to the peak without getting grazed up too badly. All right, nearing the top of a hill. I wonder if this is going to be it. I was told that there were supposed to be black oaks, or I read that there were black oaks in the area. All right, looks like I'm going to have to step through some more of this. Thought I was past it. But yeah, oh yeah, I think I see the summit register on a pile of rocks at the base of that fir tree over there. I'm hoping I can find a better way back from this. I do not want to have to go through this on the way back down. To get to there, I have to get through this. Might have to walk over this log too. All right, it's gonna take me a while to get over there, so I'll update you when I'm at the summit rocks. All right, I kind of got off of that log and circumvented the peak by going about halfway around it. I think I'm just about to hit it now, though. Wow, this is insane. All right, gotta hop over a couple more logs. All right, finally, after an insane amount of bushwhacking, here it is, Palm View Peak, 7,162 feet. There's our summit register. There are our views down towards Palm Desert and the Palm Springs greater area. Hardcore views up here are going to be hard because of the trees and brush up here, but you get a good view off to the east, and that was peak 7080 right there. Still considering going for it if I can get up there without doing this. I got to over by where that, I think right where that white fir tree is, and yeah, there's the top of that log that I was gonna walk down, but I knew if I got further up ahead it would snap and I would probably eat dirt. But yeah, okay, so we're gonna look more towards the west now. We're gonna at Little Thomas Mountain and Thomas Mountain right over there. That was almost gonna be my hike for today, but doing Thomas and Little Thomas would be about a 16-mile hike starting up from the Ramona Trail, and probably an even longer hike if I hiked up the Thomas Mountain Truck Trail. So you look around a little bit, you get some views. Now Palm View Peak, I'm guessing the name Palm View Peak likely comes from the fact that you can see the Palm Desert area, probably where thousands and thousands of palms are grown ornamentally, and some California fan palms that probably grow naturally down in the base, down there, way down in the canyon, thousands of feet below us. So, was it worth the effort to get up here? I'm on a peak, so it was worth the effort in my opinion. That's a beautiful hike on the way up here. I didn't realize thick-leaf yerba santa grew this high up. Again, here's another botanical thing. Now, this is a plant I see all the time in the lowlands and the mid-elevations, mostly below 5,000 feet. But I'm up here at 7,162 feet, and here it is again. Eriodictyon crassifolium, crassifolium. Pretty interesting to see it this high up in elevation. I guess maybe I shouldn't be surprised anymore. But I think I'm going to sit down on one of these rocks, and I'm going to take a break. Maybe get an electrolyte drink here, and then try to plot to see if there's a way I can get up to that peak over there. So, and then I can see over towards, right there is Lion Peak to the south. That's Lion Peak right there. And then we got some brown spine prickly pear up here on top with some more Opuntia phaeacantha. So I'm gonna have to carefully look for a good route to leave this peak. I'm going to have to look for a better route. Hopefully I don't have to thrash through more of the ceanothus, but I have a feeling I probably will. I could probably get back to the PCT if I head down this way. So I'm going to have to look for a more of a brush, hopefully a brush-free or less brushy route to get down. Oh yeah, there's the Salton Sea right there. And then there are the lower slopes of Santa Rosa Mountain in the Santa Rosa Mountain range. And that one underneath it there might be Asbestos Mountain. I don't know. So, I'm going to take a little break up here. Take a seat on this nice ledgy rock. And get ready to plot my descent back to the PCT. All right, so after a few snacks, some cashews, freeze-dried peaches, and 2 squeezable squeezable apple sauces, I went ahead and signed the register, and yep, Palm View Peaks. Those preceding pictures after my summit selfie, the pictures after that are of the summit register, the cover of it. I added the elevation to the cover. So somebody else wrote Palm View, and then I wrote peak, and then I wrote 7,162, because that's the elevation of this peak. And then I added my little signature and brief description of how I got here. Going to Little Desert Peak first, and then coming up here. So now, time to find my way back down from this peak. Oh, it's a pretty cool peak, of course. Definitely does require a little sense of adventure to get up here. Navigationally, to find the peak isn't so bad, but you're trying to find a way to the tip top of this mountain peak. You're gonna have to look around for some brush-free routes, or be prepared to bushwhack, like I did. Basically, I came up, I believe, from kind of like the north or northwest, I believe. I came up from around where that small notch is on the PCT. I figured, okay, maybe that would be a really logical place to leave the trail, because the elevation is as close on the PCT to the elevation on the PCT is as close as you can get to Palm View Peak's elevation without incurring a big climb on the way out, on the way back to the PCT. But that's not necessarily the best route. See, the way I'm going down now is I'm going to aim for the PCT. I'm going to go this way and aim for it this way. The way back, I am still going to contemplate trying to make a run at 0.7080. We'll see how that works out. Like I said, I would like to make a hat trick out of today. This is my second peak of the day. And if you kind of squint your eyes between the trees, you can see some pretty good views. I think this is a Sierra Club peak, I believe. I think this is an HPS. I'm not sure. Being a Sierra Club, HPS peak, or whatever, is not a requirement for me to want to climb a peak. Just a peak being there and finding a reasonable route to get up there without either getting lost or falling off the mountain or getting so ensnared that I can't get out of it. Those things aside, this is, a peak is a place I want to hike to. So I guess what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to go down to this little canyon here. If I remember correctly, I think the PCT should be just uphill from here. I'm just trying to find a brush, minimal brush, preferably brush free, but I don't know if that's going to work out. This is definitely a lot better than my ascent route. I literally had to come up to the peak, come up near, just feet away, just mere steps away from the summit, and then I was walking on a small white fir log that had fallen, and then if I walked any further on that white fir log, it would have gotten so thin, I probably would have broken it with my 270-pound frame. Probably would have broken it, and I might have fallen and eaten dirt. And I didn't want to take that chance because it was a couple feet above the ground, towards the top of the log, or the tip of the log. So I partially circumvented around, almost to the south of the peak, and that's how I was able to wind my way around and get to the actual peak without really thrashing a lot. So I'm going to have to kind of pick my route carefully going down. Like I said, I'm going down a different face of the peak now. We're on the south side of the peak, as it appears to be here. Oh, that's pretty over here. So, all right, let's see. Let's see how I can get my way back to the PCT. Should be over there somewhere. I'll keep you posted on my progress back to the trail. I probably won't film as much on the trail until I hopefully find a departure route to get to Peak 7080. But we'll see about that. All right, so I'm going up the backside, I'm going up the other side of the little dip here. A lot easier. So much easier this way. Almost looks like a scuffed-in path here, too. Might be just a game trail, but definitely a scuffed-in path over here. So, well, in parts of it. Now, the last signatures are around November 19th, so just not even that long ago. Where people were climbing this peak. So it does get fairly regular visitation. I just don't think people take the route I did to get to the top. People don't really do that. I think if I do this peak again, who knows, maybe down the road I'll do it again. I'll just go down to this little swale down here and hoof down and then aim up that way. It's actually a much more direct route, actually. And it's a lot easier. Here's a PCT already. I'm already back at the PCT. So it's time to go left, aka south. Camera's about to die battery-wise, so see you on the next clip while I swap out some of their batteries. Alright, so that last picture where you saw my finger pointing, this area is probably your best place to leave the trail. Again, it's not marked or ducked or anything, but it's a lot easier going through the rabbit brush than through the ceanothus chaparral on the other side of the peak. I had a much easier time getting down. And it's not that far, very short. You just come down that way, just pick your least resistant path, and then you just come down to this shallow swale here and just climb up maybe about 15-20 feet in elevation to get to the PCT, and you're back at it. much easier, much easier. So my ascent route to the top is not recommended. Leaving the trail, kind of where these fir trees are, you'll see that kind of nice oval shaped fir tree there. This is a good place right here to leave the trail and do your cross-country summit bid. Much easier. The climb down was 100 times easier. All right, so, oh yeah, I gotta get around this log. Yeah, I forgot. There's a log blocking the trail, so I have to, there's a little walk around, but I completely missed it. Wasn't even thinking about it. So yeah, next time, just, if you come up to this log here, just take the steep little walk, take a little walkabout over here. Take this little deviation. All right, well, I'm gonna start working my way and contemplating a potential cross-country hike to point 7080. So we'll see how that goes. As I'm hiking along this, there's another promontory up here as well. Up this way. Actually, I think this trail, I think the PCT goes most of the way up to it. But yeah, getting up to Palm View Peak off the trail is not steep. Coming down, I think it was a little steeper. Coming down, the way I came was a little steeper, but not difficult. Just watch your feet. Watch for rocks and animal burrows. And brush. Should be fine. So I'm on my first uphill stretch on the way back. So yep, there it is. Palm View Peak. It may not look as prominent from these vantage points, but being that it is the highest peak in the area for a while, it has apparently, if I remember correctly, over 1,000 feet of prominence, so it's definitely got some prominence to it. I believe it's at least a P1K. If you ever read that on hikers' blogs, P1K means prominence of 1,000 feet. P2K, prominence of 2,000 feet. And I am pretty sure Palm View has at least 1,000 feet of prominence. I'll double check and fact check myself. If I find out differently, which I'm pretty sure I won't, I'll make a note of it. All right. So the PCT leads most of the way up to this small promontory here too. All right. Catch my breath a little bit. It's a nice little incline. But what a great day this has been. It's only about 11 o'clock right now. So I've made pretty good time. Let's see if I keep making good time the way out. So I'm up near the top of this little rise here. Trying to see. I want to see if this peak has a little prominence here. Let's see. PCT is just right here. Just going to do a little mini off-trail excursion to this little hill here. Let's see. This is not going to be point 7080. The elevation is actually going to be pretty close. I just might have a slight amount of prominence. Let's see what it's like up on top of this hill. since I'm in multi-peak mode today. Let's go up to this little rise here and see. All right. Okay. Here's a cool little peak. This is probably about the same elevation as point 7080. Yeah. So he has a little bit. I'm gonna consider this my third peak of the day, kind of. Maybe my second and a half. But there's point 6080 right there. There's where the PCT crests, right there between the trees. That's where the crest of it is. And we get some great views to the west over here that were otherwise difficult on Palm View because of the forest cover. See, now we're looking down at Cone Peak. Now, I guess I would have had to go take the PCT a little further past where I left, probably close to where I left the trail. Maybe a little bit past where I left the trail for my bushwhack up to Palm View Peak to maybe try to see if I can worm my way over there. But I don't think I want to try that today. Might do that one by itself or with peak 6684. Or at least attempt, because some of those pinnacles up there look like they're could be like class 4 or more, I don't know. But I am going to try to go to that one. But I'm going to go up to the top of this one. I can kind of consider this my third climb of the day, my third peak of the day. It's not as prominent as the other peaks, but I mean, it's pretty cool. It's a little summit. I'm going to have a little downhill before I get to the other points over there. So, all right. I'm going to take a couple pictures up here. I like to correct myself on when I was on Little Desert Peak. I stupidly called that Santa Rosa Mountain. That is not Santa Rosa Mountain. Santa Rosa Mountain is that mass right underneath Toro Peak. I don't know how I could have made this mistake because I have a pretty good sense of the geography in the area. That's actually Martinez Mountain, so I like to make a correction. That's Martinez Mountain, Toro Peak, and then Santa Rosa Mountain is the one really close in front of it. So yeah, that's Martinez Mountain, 6,562 feet. I don't know where in my mind I thought that was Santa Rosa Mountain. Santa Rosa Mountain's in front of Toro Peak. So yeah, and then of course in between we have Rabbit Peak right there. But yeah, that's Martinez Mountain. So I like to correct, I'll probably put text on it when I'm reviewing and editing, but I'm gonna make a verbal correction now, and we can actually see what I thought was Hot Springs Mountain. That's not it. I think that's Hot Springs Mountain there. And I can see, way off in the distance, Cuyamaca. So you can see Cuyamaca Peak from here. Really cool. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and leave this little promontory. So I'm going to kind of consider this my third peak of the day. Oh, a little miniature bitter cherry. A little miniature stunted bitter cherry. That's really cool. Almost stepped on one too. All right, so I'm gonna go back to the PCT, short little walk. This is a really short little detour, kind of like a Little Desert Peak. I'm assuming this peak's probably close to 7,100 feet. Maybe this is more like 70-40, I don't know. I'll look at the topo maps and get back to you. But I'm going to go ahead and worm my way back to the PCT and start looking for a way up to 70-80. Okay, now it's contemplation time. Yeah, it looks like this peak, this little peak I just visited doesn't have a huge amount of prominence, but all right. Now I'm trying to consider what would be a good way to get up there. So I just about 2 minutes walking time past where I got back on the PCT from that little miniature summit. It looks like there's a maybe about 70, 80 feet of prominence, maybe 100 if I'm being generous. So I'm counting that as a summit for that peak there, that little summit. I'm counting it. Now, I think what I need to do, it looks like it's about to be bushwhacking time again. I'm going to have to work my way around the chaparral here. So, this is cool. I'm glad I went to visit that little hilltop there too. I'm kind of counting that as my third hill of the day, third summit of the day. So let's see if I can make my way up to that there. Whoa! Let's see. It looks like I'm going to have to bushwhack at least some. This is going to be a completely off-trail adventure here. Look at this white fir. It lost its top. Here's one thing that a lot of white fir trees will do, is they'll start new leaders after they've been damaged. You see here, this branch here has one piece there that's trying to vie to become a leader. And then that branch right there is also vying to become a leader. So that's what a lot of our fir trees will do if after being toppled or whatever, there's still a little action left on the tree. They'll do that. And sometimes reiterate new leaders. It almost looks like there's a path here. Almost. I wouldn't really call this a trail, but let's see. Let's see what this does. But yeah, there's another copse of forest over there. Well, so far this isn't too bad. Then again, things could change once I get to the base, or working my way down to the base of the mountain. So this will be my fourth hilltop of the day. I'd also call it my third full-blown summit of the day. Because this one will have definitely have more prominence than the last hill I climbed. So this is my third full-blown peak climb of the day, but my fourth summit of the day. Now, let's see if I can work my way around this a little bit. Here we go. Hopping over logs again. Alright. So I do see, looks like some sparse chaparral up there. So we'll see how this works. Alright. I'm going to keep working my way, bushwhacking this way, until I get to the base of the saddle there. And then I'll keep you posted. Alright, so I'm at this little mini saddle right here. I just came up from over there. And now I'm going to look for an ascent route. I can see myself getting partway up this. By following a less brushy rabbit brush slope here. With all these rabbit brush plants here, probably get a nice chunk of the way up before more route finding will be required. All right, it's not even steep either. It's very mellow slope here. Actually, I think the steepest part of the day was hiking along the PCT, actually. Honestly, if it weren't for the distance, I could almost rate this hike as easy, almost. But it's moderate because there is a fair amount of climbing. Still going to rate it moderate. There's a fair amount of climbing and some off-trail navigation. But so far, so good. There's Palm View right there. Let me catch my breath for a minute. having to wiggle through that brush was kind of tiring. So now, my next move contemplation is about to occur pretty soon, once I get over to here, where the brush is about to come into play again. So I'm gonna have to do probably a little route finding to get through here. But so far the chaparral's pretty low. So, and some of it's kind of spread apart. So I'll take the victory while I can. So, I'm gonna probably, I don't know if I should might go left and skirt around the north side of the peak. But, yeah, these little peaks here are a little higher. A little bit higher. Some of these hills are actually a little bit higher. But maybe I have more elevation gain left than I thought. So if that's the case, then I'm pretty sure it's going to be 0.70, 80. All right, keep you posted. All right, I think I'm just about at the top of this one, I think. Very gentle slope coming up here. Not a lot of hard bushwhacking, but definitely some light bushwhacking and some pretty moderate brush wading, which I would call bushwhacking's smaller cousin. Kind of what you're seeing here. Me wading around the low-growing shrubs. But I feel like I'm just about at the top. I think I'm just about here. All right. Just about to reach the summit of this one. All right. Almost. Just mere steps away from the next peak of the day. All right. I'm thinking that it's going to be right about here. So let's see. I'm just about on top of this one. It's not a really long, sustained route to get here, but you'll be required to do some wading, some minor bushwhacking. At a high point, guessing it's here. All right. And I believe this is 0.7080. The next peak of the day. Not that long after climbing that last one. There's the last one there, which close to the same height as this. So that might also be 0.7080A. So this would be 0.7080B. All right, so we got some views up here. Of course, there's Palm View. That's looking towards Spittler Peak over there, I believe. It's either Spittler, yeah, I think that's Spittler Peak right there. And then Apache Peak is that one there, I believe. Haven't learned to recognize them too well yet from my other hikes, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Spittler. And I think that two-horned one underneath the big mountain mass back there, the one closer up, that should be Apache Peak over there. It has two summits that are almost the same in elevation, but the one on the left, yeah, that should be Apache Peak right there. There's a small sub-summit there that's almost the same elevation, but the one on the left, I believe, is the highest one. So that's got to be Spittler. And those peaks are about 7,500 feet plus. So I eventually want to hit those, but I believe you have to have a San Jacinto wilderness permit that you just go to the ranger station in Idlewild and fill it out. because they have a little kiosk outside of the doors of the office. If you want to hike, I know for a fact Apache Peak requires a wilderness permit. I'm not sure about Spittler. I hear different things about Spittler. If you're just hiking to Spittler, I've read that you don't need one, and I've read in other places you do need one. So I'd be safe even if you're just doing Spittler. Definitely go fill out a permit form in the Idlewild office before coming here. But if you're coming from San Diego, the direction of San Diego County, which means you're gonna have to drive a little extra. You're gonna have to go past and then double back. Unless you're staying the night in Idlewild, which would actually be a good idea. But yeah, so that's the, see, there's Palm View, and there's the third summit I visited. Seems to have a little prominence. It's about the same elevation as this, so I don't know which one wins out in the prominence battle. That one or this one, whichever one's higher is obviously going to win out in it. But yeah, you got some good views towards the Coachella Valley. Very good views towards the Coachella Valley, Palm Desert, and again, Martinez Mountain, Rabbit Peak, Toro and Santa Rosa Mountain, Pine Mountain, Pyramid Peak, Lion Peak. And then, now I pointed out Apache Peak, the one that's closer at hand, but then you can see that granite ridge above it. That's where Talkwish Peak is. And in that one there, with a little bit of red hue in it, is Red Talkwish. I've been up to Talkwish once. I might still have pictures for it. I might make a picture show out of that one day, but I've been up to the Fire Lookout Tower over there, but I've never been on Red Talkwish. My experience here in the San Jacintos is actually quite limited, to be honest with you. I haven't spent a lot of time in the San Jacintos, not as much time as I would like. From where I lived in Orange County, getting here was a long ordeal. But also, coming from San Diego is a really long ordeal as well, San Diego County. All right, well, and you can actually see the eastern edge of the San Bernardino Mountains over there. Those are the San Bernardino Mountains over there. And then over there's towards the little San Bernardinos, way out in the distance, going towards Joshua Tree National Park. All right, so I'm gonna take my selfie. I guess I'm gonna consider this summit number 4 of the day. I'm gonna count this summit as summit number 4. All right, okay, excellent. All right, back on the PCT. Boy, climbing back out from the saddle kind of winded me a little bit. Not gonna lie, a little winded from that. So I'm back on the trail, and on trail, I shall be remaining the rest of my hike as I work my way down towards PCT Junction. So there I was, right up on that. Yeah, so what I did is went down, even saw my footsteps on the way out in a couple spots. So went down the saddle, excuse me, went up, kind of where that where that light brush is right there, then kind of worked my way around those Kenny live oak branches, and then just eventually just worked my way up there. So that was a pretty nice little side excursion too. That was a pretty nice little workout getting up there and getting back to the PCT, but for the rest of this hike I'm on trail. PCT, then I go down the Cedar Springs Trail, and then I get to go pass by the cows again. And that's it. All right. Well, I'll keep you posted on my downward progress, but it's going to be a lot less filming on the way down. This video is already going to be long enough as it is. So here I am, still on the PCT. Very beautiful, jagged rocks. Showing off some of the rugged nature of the rock material. Mostly granite, probably. But pretty cool to look at when you're hiking your way back. Pretty cool. All right. So I just went over another small climb, really small, not very steep. Pretty soon, though, I shall be at the end of the climbing period. It should be near the head of the canyon. I don't know the name of this canyon. It's a beautiful canyon, I'll tell you. Very pastoral. The cattle sure love it there. But I climb over this little rise here. I can see a little desert peak. Now that's pine, but a little desert peak over there. It's starting to get really close, so I should be getting back to the PCT pretty soon. The little desert peak is pretty close, so I'll have a nice little, kind of a steep little descent coming up, leading back to the trail junction. And then down, 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 the Cedar Springs Trail. Getting pretty close to the junction with the Cedar Springs Trail. Just going down this steep ramp here with all the thick growth of pinkbrack. So I know I'm really close to the saddle. And there's Pyramid Peak looming above us, a couple hundred feet above us. Probably about 6,850 feet. I think we're a little below Little Desert Peak now, so we should be down below 6,800 feet pretty soon. And I'll see you at the trail junction. It's right down there. I can see it. All right, back at the junction. Back at the Cedar Springs Trail junction. Again, that takes us back down to the canyon at the Cedar Springs Trailhead on Morris Ranch Road. This is southbound PCT. This is how you go to Cedar Springs, I believe. And this is where I came from. I think I'm going to go ahead and gulp in another drink and then start heading down the hill. Back here, there's a little canyon live oak thicket right here. Beautiful little shaded junction down here. All right, well, I'll keep you posted with some sparse quickie updates, as I don't want to make this video 3-4 hours long. So I'll see you down the way. All right, so I've made some progress, some pretty good progress. Done some zigging and some zagging. Just a couple hundred feet up from the Canyon Live Oak Grove at the 6,000 foot mark. So I'm really making my way down this. Look at this gully here. Really neat looking gully. And yes, back to the hollyleaf cherries. Gracing the trail side here. A lot of which, at least some of which have fruit on them still. You saw some of my previous clips. And I got a beautiful gully right here. That looks really beautiful. It looks like more from here, for anybody interested. This looks like a class 2 gully. I don't know if it gets more technical higher up or lower down, but from here it looks like a class 2 gully. I haven't really done a lot of gully climbing in a while. Really haven't done much of that. Been mostly on trail and off trail peak climbs. Yeah, that gully looks pretty interesting. But it looks like there'd be some bushwhacking higher up, though. But yeah, lower down, yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's only class 2. I don't know. Could be class 3 in spots, but from the limited vantage point I have of it, looks like a class 2 gully to me. That'd be an interesting cross-country hike. All right, well, enough yapping and more progressing. See you down the way. Getting closer and closer to the canyon. I can see the cows are still hanging out down there. There's that nice Perry. There's another nice Perry Nolina. Perry beargrass. Nolina Perry. Yeah. I tell you, when they get older, these beautiful trunks on them. That's how you know you're looking at a Nolina as opposed to a chaparral yucca. Like I said earlier, when they're very young or resprouted, if they resprout from their base or they germinate and form their early rosette, they will look a lot like the chaparral yucca before they form that big trunk. Only thing is, though, the tips of the leaves are not as sharp. I would still be careful; they still poke you, but not as nearly as hardcore sharp as these Hespero yucca whipple leaves here. Those are sharp. All right. Ooh, a blue stem Kekiella. Kekiella ternata, variety ternata. And I just got a couple more 100 feet to lose before I'm down in the canyon live oak forest and walking through the cow pasture. So, keep you updated. Quick little update. I was talking about this gully earlier. I think this would be ill-advised because I see a barbed wire fence just about 30, 40 feet away from me, just down the hill a little bit. Probably private property there too, so anything I talked about gully climbing up that gully, ill-advised. It's probably private property. Here we go. Red shanks or ribbonwood. There's why. The shanky red flaky bark, shreddy bark on this Adenostoma sparcifolium. There's some areas where these get very large here. Riverside and San Diego County, some of these get very large. These are very small. But they can get up to over 20 feet tall in some spots. All right. I'm getting close to the canyon. It'll be time for cow watch. All right. See you down. Alright, next short update. I am just about at the end of the switchback portion and just about in the canyon part. So I am just about at the 6,000 foot mark here, soon to descend below it. Oh yeah, that was awkward. Alright, so just about to end the switchback part and into the canyon live oak forest, and then I'll be out in the wooded pasture area with the cows, and then should be back in not a super long amount of time. About to plunge into the shade. Actually, sun's warm, but the breeze in the air is cool. But it actually feels really nice and cool in here. Some Vitis Gerdiana, some desert grape. I saw that on the way up, but I failed to document it. And still got some Puntia fiacantha. So this is the end of the switchback. I am now entering the relatively straight portion of the hike in this absolutely stupendously gorgeous canyon live oak grove. Some of these are pretty big trees too. This one here is a monster canyon live oak. All right. Probably see you by the pasture area. pretty soon. All right, back in the pasture. I saw a couple cattle, still a few cows hanging around. I think I see one up ahead. I think over there. There's one that just ducked down into the thickets. I guess maybe I startled her. I don't know if any of these were bulls. They all look like they had udders. So I think they're mostly females here. But yeah, there's one that just ducked in the thickets over there somewhere. And there's one up ahead. I can see the tail flapping in the air and it's moving around a little bit. Yeah, it looks like I'm back near where the main population is. Oh, here we go. Here they all are. All the bull. Oh. It's okay, buddy. I'm just passing through. I got no reason to bug you guys. Plus, it's just inappropriate. I mean, here they are, all the beautiful cattle. Look at this. That's like the whole herd chilling over here. Pretty cool. Very beautiful. Very beautiful. See, quite a few of them have calves too. So, like I said, just exercise some caution, not to agitate them. Like I mean, I'm just walking in my own business, glancing at them quickly, and then moving on. Very beautiful cattle. Whoever raised these cattle, kudos. Beautiful. I'm hoping these are dairy cattle. One thing you definitely have to watch for on this hike is make sure you watch where you step, because there are tons of cattle droppings, or cow pies, cow boo-boo all over the ground. So this was the note that says leave it open. So I try to keep it a little more open because the cattle do pass through here. All right, well, that's enough of this upstate. There they are, the beautiful cattle just hanging out, and I'm getting on my home stretch. Ooh, and we got some 7-spotted ladybird beetles. Coccinella septum punctatum, and I need to watch where I step, so I end up stepping on them all. Oh boy, I don't remember seeing them this morning. I gotta watch where I step so I don't step on them. See if I can avoid stepping on them. All right, enough of the update. That's what you gotta watch out for. Sorry for the gross picture. All right, see you at the next update. There's still some more cattle hanging around over here too. Guys are pretty well dispersed out today. Okay, yeah, there's some hanging out over there. There's one behind that thicket right there. So yeah. Oh boy, almost tripped over a branch. Just trying to make sure I don't get the cattle all stirred up either. There's an interesting looking oak in there. There's a really, I don't know if it's a canyon live oak or an interior live oak. I think it's an interior live oak. It's a tree-sized one. Right above where this cow's hanging out. Let's see if I can get a better vantage point. Yeah. That's an interior live oak. That's not a canyon live oak. I'm wondering if these are Quercus whistlezenii variety whistlezenii. Because they're about the size of tree. They're actually more tree sized. Yeah. That's one of the largest interior live oaks I've seen south of Kern County. Pretty interesting. All right. Just a little bit more to go. I think a couple more gates and then pretty much done. This is evidenced in that last photo. I'm on the home stretch now. I'm past the cattle, and I am just about on the last little stretch back to the last gate at the trailhead, and then I just got to walk about 1/10 of a mile back to the car. So yeah, except for that one gate here where all the cattle were hanging out, it's requested that you close the gates behind you. Like I said, that one that was open, left it open because there's a little note on there saying please leave it open for the cattle. So other than that one with a little piece of paper saying that, make sure you close all the gates behind you. And we're just about back. There's a little water tower here down in the Red Shank Chaparral, and just about to finish this up. All right, this is the last gate. There's Morris Ranch Road. This is going to do it for this hike. Hope you enjoyed following along on this apparently very long video. Went through a whole memory card and a little bit on the second one, so I apologize if it's longer than your taste, but there's just a lot to see and a lot to talk about. So I'm gonna go ahead and unlatch this, go through, just walk a short distance down the road. There it is, Cedar Springs Trail, 4E17. Here in the San Bernardino National Forest, San Jacinto Mountains. Here we are back on Morris Ranch Road. So I just got to go down this dip and then up over that small rise, and my car will be right there. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this hiking video as much as I enjoyed making it and hiking it, of course. Beautiful day out here in the San Jacinto Mountains. One last little shot of a beautiful canyon live oak grove and a Jeffrey pine with a pretty large trunk on it. See you on the next adventure.